All right, chaps, we are back for yet another episode of A Slice of Golf. Let's dive straight in. Golf is obviously still back, which is very exciting. I'm not sure who, if any of us, I think we did get out at the weekend. So let's just dive straight into our recaps, what we've been up to, what we've been practicing. Benjamin, take us away.
Yeah, so I went to the range.
Crap, I've just remembered about Ben's weekend. I don't want to talk about Ben's weekend.
So we went to the range last Thursday, and we were set a challenge by one of the listeners last week. And for anyone who's ever been to North Greenwich driving range, it is a very, very busy driving range. It's a very social driving range as well. There's a lot of people about. So if you start pranging balls all over the show, people very quickly know about it. So we were set a challenge to try and hit 5 golf balls on one go. And
Matthew Cheney Williams, wasn't it? Matthew Cheney Williams, set us that challenge. So thank you, Matt, for sending in this challenge. I like it.
I'm just very, very glad that there was no shot tracer on it, because I fared miserably. It was awful. And my new flatmate, he's recently just picked up the game of golf again after 15 years, and even he was cracking up, and he was like, "That was shit." I was like, "Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I appreciate the words of support."
Have we put those videos on the socials yet?
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna leave Ben. You're our social guru. I'm gonna leave you in charge of putting those up on the Slice of Golf Instagram, because they are excellent, and we need to do that for sure.
Yeah, it got to the point I was like, look, I can't leave the driving range without refilming this and getting a second take. So we've got the second one, which is a little bit better. Range all in kind of felt okay. Wasn't really heading into the weekend with too much confidence. For those who don't know, I work in a gym. Gyms reopened in the UK last Monday. And as much as I tried to ease myself back into training, got a little bit carried away, got a bit excited. I woke up on Saturday morning absolutely stiff as a board, and me and my flatmate, like I said, he's still fairly new to the game, so it's a little bit helping him back into it. And I was just like, it's a lovely day, sun's out, beautiful, and we'll just take whatever comes. I wasn't expecting a lot because it didn't feel great. Ended up starting off really well. Through 7 holes, I was on 15 points.
Where were you playing?
So we played at Ilford Golf Club. Just somewhere it's fairly
really
close
nice
to
Instagram shot of like a bridge with some graffiti in the middle of the fairway or something. Which
I mean, it's unique. It is very, very unique. To be fair to Ilford, the greens have always, every time I've been there, greens have always been pretty good. Greens are tiny. That's one thing, and it's quite a tight and narrow golf course because it's on such a small bit of land. So it's not a long golf course by any means. I think I took driver out 3 times on Saturday. And in all honesty, I couldn't hit a fairway to save my life. First 9, I hit 1 fairway and I hit 1 green in regulation, which is a horror show. Yeah, I was.
This does not make sense with your scoring. How are you?
This is what I mean. Tee to green for me is typically it's a part of my game that I would back.
And it's PGA stats, tee to green, Ben Fowlis.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's the thing is, it's part and parcel with what I'm doing with training. It's something I expected with all the speed training. Just your timing's a bit off. So everything on Saturday, I was just like, let's just start it left and just let it bleed back onto the fairway. In the end, most of the time it would kind of overcut. Or it just wouldn't cut at all and would just end up left side of rough. So got through 7, was on 15 points, so was going along quite nicely, and I felt really good with putter and wedge in hand. And then something happened which really, really kind of wobbled my head. We were playing directly into the sun, short par 3. I thought I'd topped it, so it had gone like 50, 60 yards. Turned out I didn't. I thinned it and went flying straight like into the bank, up and over onto the tee box of the boys in front. So I was kind of walking around like 50 yards short of the green looking for my ball. And the boys, they called me through and were like, it's over here. I was like, oh, shit. So I sent a ball their way, didn't call it, didn't think it was within 50 yards of them. So I felt guilty with that. Then obviously suitably stepped onto the 8th tee, wasn't focused at all, took driver out and hit the ball off the planet. It was gone. Would not be able to tell you where that went. Here's where I was like, I'm going to do the honourable thing here, because the lad I was playing with was like, I've lost one, let's just call them, we'll have free reloads. And I said, no, I've played enough golf. I would feel too guilty doing it. At the time, I was a bit like, do I, don't I? And then it got to the end of the round, and I was pretty happy I did, because for only the third time ever, I broke 80. So all in, didn't at any point feel like I played great. Putting, I've never putted like it in my life. Chipping was, again, my short game was never played like it ever. Could barely hit a fairway, and come away with one of the best scores I've ever played. So game's in a good place from a perspective of like confidence, because I know the inaccuracies, if that's a word, I don't know, are just basically due to, I'm putting it down to the speed training I'm doing. Timing's just a little off, and it's only a matter of time before that comes back. So pretty good weekend, because then I came home straight on the sofa, ordered a Nando's, had a couple of beers, and watched Chelsea beat Man City. So excellent Saturday.
Excellent. The European Super League teams are buzzing to be playing each other. So well done to you lot. That's fantastic. When you sent that message, when you're a bit like, fuck, this is not what I need. For everyone listening, we've got our first groups major of the year this coming weekend. So knowing that Fowlis is coming into this in good mood, even let alone good form, just good mood, is always a bit of a disaster. Mr. Consistent is just, I was like, well done, and I do mean it, well done. It is fantastic to break 80 again, and that's amazing. I'm pretty sure Johnny, the other guy who you had the bet with, must now owe you several £100 and several meals and beers out based on your original bet. Awesome achievement to break 80. Don't care where it is, don't care how short or long the course is, you've got to put the ball in the hole. And if you only hit one fairway, your short game must have been freaking nuts.
Yeah, I mean, in total, I had 13 putts front nine, and almost holed out 2 chips, almost holed out a bunker shot, and then I had 18 putts on the back nine, so 31 putts all in. I hit every fairway on the back nine, and also something to give a bit of hope for everyone, because we've already always spoken about the voodoo of checking your scorecard and that just being an absolute round wrecker. Well, Carl's only just come back playing, so I wasn't really too sure how to score everything. I knew where I was at, stood on 9, so we'd finished 9, stood on 10. I knew I was on 41 strokes. At that point, I was like, I'm on to break 80 here. Made the Cardinal Sid number 1, already started thinking about the score. But we held it together, and we kept it, and came back in 38. So, yeah.
And to be fair, mentally strong is not a label I'd put next to Ben Fowlis. So that is
Yeah, I'd give you that.
Yeah, that is great. That's fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, Timbo, how did you get on with take care? What were you up to?
Yeah, so last week was a really, really, really busy week for me, not golf-wise, just work was super busy, loads of stuff going on in sort of life admin as well. So the whole way through last week, the first time I managed to get down to the range was first thing on Friday morning, which is it was one of those situations where look, the way my week has been and going, I think a 6:40 a.m. range, might be the only way I'm going to be able to squeeze one in. So I had a Friday morning. It was about 2 degrees. It was so cold.
as if it wasn't commitment enough to get up and range at 6:40.
And it went okay. And then obviously I did my driving range challenge, which has been handed by the listeners. I will say, on reflection, watching mine back, I was doing mine way too slow. So I apologise profusely. I was a bit similar to Ben in that I think the range I went to is actually at the golf club itself. So you're on the range at 7:30 a.m. So you're surrounded by people who were genuinely about to go off and play golf. So you're very conscious that they're there kind of doing their proper warm up and grinding, and then I'm just apparently just dicking around trying to get 5 balls as fast as I can. So that probably contributed towards me doing it a little bit slower than I probably should have done. That was up until Friday morning, and then was beasting work, and I say a really, really busy week. And I kind of got to about lunchtime on Friday, and I thought, you know what? I thought think I've broken the back of my work schedule for the week. I might be able to get a few hours back later in the day. So I hot-tailed down to have a sundown 9 holes on Friday nights.
I did not know this.
Yeah, never did I.
A sneaky 9 holes. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really tell anyone about this. It was one of those. It was booking through the membership I've got. So you can book things quite quickly. Just dropped it on the app. I was like, brilliant! I've got a 5:25 tee time, so it's kind of a case of just fly down there in the car. No, I think I had I wandered to the practice area and hit 4 warm-up balls. Just be like, yep, okay, fine. I can definitely still hit a golf ball. That's okay. And then it was one of those kind of 9 holes or went out where you're kind of just you're probably not really thinking about it too much. It's just like, you know what, I've had a really long, busy week. It's just nice to be out doing something. Shot 19 points.
Oh,
on the 9.
Okay.
So clearly, I just need to not think about anything and just turn up and not practice and just go. I was playing quickly as well because I did need to get back for kind of Friday night dinner and drinks with the girlfriend, but I was playing fast and just kind of clicked, and then I birdied the first hole. I was like, oh, well, that's very pleasant. I was like 4 points off the bat on my first hole, and I was like, oh, okay. See how we get on with this. And so I just had when I had nine holes, I was also quite conscious that this week as well is a super busy week for me. So that genuinely might end up being the last bit of practice I have before this weekend. So it's still going to be a fair few days in between. So there's still lots of time for weird shenanigans to creep into my game. Don't you worry this week. But no, it went out. Yeah, went really well. Shot 44 for 19 points, 17 putts. That was with 3 penalty strokes as well. So I don't know what was going on there.
Penalty strokes in lost balls or what?
There was one. Yeah, there was 2. There was one approach which it's an uphill approach. So I'd clubbed up. I'd sort of clubbed accordingly and just caught it absolutely flush. Chris, it's the second hole at Selsdon, raised green.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I just absolutely pelted it over the green into the trees at the back. And so it's one of those where you're one of those weird ones where you've lost the ball and be like, well, I'm frustrated I've lost the ball, but I've hit that pure.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a weird feeling. And then I put one driver OB, so that was, and I thought I'd find it, and then you didn't. So then you're talking about your 4th shot.
Yeah.
So that was it. But yeah, so that was really, really pleasing. But as I say,
this is classic. This is classic behaviour of our group.
Yeah.
Sneaky rounds.
Sneaky rounds. Whenever there's a big competition coming up, sneaky rounds coming in, and Tim's gone out for an actual secret 9 holes. Like this, this is the definition of sneakiness. This is brilliant.
I mean, it's I honestly can't really explain the difference week on week, because Chris and I played the exact same course literally a week before, and fair to say Chris and I did not play well. So, and I'd had one rain session that morning before that. So it's
there is
100%
in it of the unplanned, the unscheduled, no pressure round. Everyone says about nights out. The unplanned, unscheduled nights out are always the best. I think the relaxed, chilled rounds of golf are always the best ones. Ones that are not anticipated, so you don't even think about it. There's no real competition to it, and you shoot the lights out. I was going to butt in and say sort of similar thing to you, because Carl's just started playing again after 15 years. Wasn't expecting anything, so I knew it would be fairly comfortable, should we say, competition wise between me and him. So I just went out and was just swinging freely, and I think there's definitely something in it. How you then take that mentality into this weekend when there's 12 of us out playing,
we'll see.
Well, that's the test though, isn't it? Right, that's how do you take that mentality, how do you take that and put it into a company? I mean, not impossible, but taking elements of it for sure. That is very interesting. And we're going to come on to a discussion topic in a bit about another member of our group who went out for a sneaky round and has gone completely the other way into demoralising Central. So we'll come on to that in a bit. I'll give you a quick recap of my weekend. I didn't get out for a round this weekend. Went to the range on, I want to say Thursday or Friday, and then been to the range today as well. I thoroughly enjoyed the 5-ball lineup challenge. I was on the range, and there was a dad and his kid next to me. The dad clearly taking it very seriously, and I was at the point where I was like, "Am I being a good influence here? Probably not." The kid found it hilarious. Not sure it helped the dad's coaching moment, but at least I showed him that golf can be fun. But yeah, I also felt like a bit of a numpty hitting 5 balls. However, I was absolutely freaking delighted with my effort.
Yours was a solid effort. I will give you that.
There was one that I got really on the toe that I was like, I thought I'd almost missed it, but actually it still went somewhere. I was delighted with my efforts. I was like, I didn't record a second one out of fear of it not being anywhere near as good. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm just gonna leave that there. So I'm quite excited for my trick shots to be going out to the world, because that was great. My actual golf, mixed bag on last week. And then Tim and Ben know today actually my game was actually, I was really pleased with how I was striking the ball today at the range. I was a bit all over the place with the driver, but that's no different to how I normally am with the driver anyway, so that's kind of fine. However, yesterday, was it yesterday?
Are we going to talk about your putting grip?
Yeah, was it yesterday?
Oh yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah.
So yesterday I rolled out the putt out, and I just happened to notice while watching on Sunday that Colin Morikawa he's got the same putting grip, like the actual grip on the putter is the same one as mine, and I was like, oh, he's using a certain putting grip, which turns out I think is called the Saw.
Yeah.
I think. And I just rolled out the putt out, and I was like, oh, well, let's just give it a go, because I've been struggling with my putting in my out on the greens. It's going to sound silly, but I like slice the putts or I push them, but either way they end up out on the right. So I roll out the putt out mat, and I do 10 putts, and I get 4 perfect putts with this new grip, and I'm like, hold up, this is mental. This is mental. I do it again, and I get like 3. I do it again, and I get 3, and I go, I'm going to record this next one, put a bit of pressure on so I can send it to Ben and Tim. I got 4, and I was like, okay, my average is now like 3.5. I was like, this is 3.5 perfect putts. I was like, this is mental. Like, and I did try and go back to my other putting grip, and I was like, now in my head I'm kind of wanting my other grip to fail. So I was like, no, just dump this now. When I go to the range today, I'll go about half an hour early and go on the putting green and actually just test it out on a green. I'm going to level with you. I'm 100% using it on Saturday.
Oh, I'm very happy about that. I am. Yeah, I'm excited.
I can't not try it. From today's, I will practice. I'm going to go to the range again on Friday. But today, half an hour and just doing. So the drill that I do on putting is I put like 4 balls around the hole. So kind of on clock face 12, 3, 6, 9. When I drain all 4, I then take it an extra 2 feet out, do the same thing. If I drain all 4, I take it 2 feet out and drain it. I had 12 putts in a row. And I was like, so that's like inner circle, next circle, next circle. And I was like, I don't think I've ever done this with my old putting grip. And I was like, I'm in. I'm in.
I mean, it's pretty concerning to hear that. That it is going that well, at least enough that you are willing to change it the week of essentially the Masters. It's a big week for our group. You don't tinker with things, and that's a big change.
You don't. Unless something drastic happens on Friday when I'm there practicing, I'm in. I'll tell you the difference for me is it just feels freer, and I don't know what it is, but my distance control is worldly better.
I mean, I don't know whether either of you two would have seen this. I think it was on Saturday when I got in just after the Chelsea game, where Nick Doherty and Rich.
We know you support Chelsea. It's okay. You don't keep dropping that in.
Well, it's not much to be proud of at the moment. But we won't go down that rabbit hole. I don't know whether you heard Rich Beam and Nick Doherty talking about the reverse grip.
Mm-mm.
No, so Nick Doherty was like, I've tried it and got loads of control from it. Rich Beam encouraged his son to do it, and his son plays reverse, so left hand low as a right-hander.
Yeah.
And then they both went on record and said it was either Gary Player or Jack Nicklaus who's come out and said if they could do it all again, they would putt reverse grip. I don't know whether you've ever tried that, because they talk about it being better for keeping your shoulders level.
I used to putt with I used to putt with a reverse grip for that reason. I was told that you'll need to have your shoulders completely square and level, and the only physical way that my anatomy and my body could actually get square was to have the reverse grip. Also, plus the fact when I started doing that was when Spieth was coming off like his hottest of hot streaks, and he's a reverse grip putter. Since then, anyone who listens to the podcast knows that I've tinkered with my putting grip more than is humanly advisable to do. Although I will say that since you two have been digging me out for changing my putting grip, both of you have been dicking around with yours. So honestly, you owe me a bit of an apology.
I do apologise, and it was literally my first thought after I did the first set of 10 and got whatever it was 3 perfect putts. I was like, I'm going to have to send this to Tim, and I'm going to have to apologise for his experimentation with putting grips, because I'm now I have to give this a go.
And also, you've got a
disclaimer: I'm still shit at putting, by the way.
And as well, another bit that excites me is there's going to be so many of us there on Saturday as well that you're going to have to face the music, because you're going to get some absolute pelters for having changed your putting grip, which is going to be quite easy. I just didn't know in amongst all this trying out the saw whether you tried the reverse.
I haven't. No, I literally saw this is I saw Morikawa. Literally, there's a close up of him, and he wasn't having a good putting day either. So I don't know what made me. I literally thought he has the same width grip as I do on my putter, and he was just doing this, and I was like, I'll just give it a go. And first time I was like, okay, this is like, when you're like, I'm interested, I'm immediately piqued, and I'm now going to go and actually practice this. My only concern is getting 12 putts in a row feels great on a practice green when no one's around and there's no pressure. It's very, very different when you're in a pressure situation, like we talked about with Tim taking his 17-point front nine, or like 19-point front nine. So that will be the interesting thing for me. So what I'll probably do on Friday is kind of, I don't know how, but I'll kind of try and pressurize my practice a little bit and just see if I can get similar.
I mean, I don't know if there's anything in it, but this weekend's round, where I just had the best putting round of my life, was the second round after I kind of tweaked with my grip. So it concerns me a little bit if you're making a change now. come the weekend and you're banging in one putts left, right, and centre.
You've changed from an interlocking grip, haven't you?
Yeah, because I was made to feel like that was completely alien. It turns out it is. It is, yeah. So now I've got a reverse overlap, and I feel like I've been missing out all these years, because I felt like I had complete control of the ball the other day, which was a very nice turn of event.
Yeah, it's not like I don't think I was necessarily a bad putter. Like I probably hit 31, 32 putts generally. No, maybe more than that, maybe 33, 34, but I don't often go over 36. But as soon as I did it, I was just like, it just felt smoother. And even if it doesn't end up in a fewer amount of putts, it just felt better. So I'll see. I'm willing to test it.
It's even if it doesn't statistically early doors, if you feel more confident stood over a putt, then it's worth a change, right?
Yeah. I think it's worth a go. And if it all goes to shit, well, it all goes to shit. So it's,
And you'll all hear about it next week.
You'll hear about it next week. Unfortunately, are any of us three in the same groupings next week?
No, we're all in separate groups.
We're all in separate groups. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Awesome. I think let's kind of move on. But essentially, there will obviously be footage. I am thinking about doing a little live scoring thing with us at the weekend. So we might be able to put that somewhere. I don't know. I'll have a think as we get towards the weekend. But yeah, we've got our first major of the year coming up, which is super exciting. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. Looking forward to it. And we're going to come back to a more discussion around this topic later on. But for now, let's move on to the pros. So this week we had the RBC Heritage with the PGA. Stewart Cink taking the win, and let's be honest, dominating the rest of the field. One big takeaway for me, we've spoken about it before. Tim teed it up in the WhatsApp group. Who was on the bag, Tim, though?
His son was on the bag.
His son was on the bag. And why is that interesting?
Because he's had quite a few different members of family on the bag, hasn't he? He's had his wife on the bag before, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
So, but didn't he? But unless I'm mistaken, then this could be complete factual bollocks, and it's me talking, so it's quite possible. Didn't he win the last time he won? He either had his son on the bag or his wife on the bag. I'm pretty sure I've got that right.
I mean, it was this season, so there is a high chance.
I'm pretty sure
very,
that's
very high chance. And I know he joined this week. The only 2-time winner this season's him and Bryson, which is it's not bad for an old boy.
No.
Also, I saw some stats. I think he was like 47. He's hitting the ball further now this year than at any point in his career. And his swing just looks a lot more free.
Yeah, but what made me laugh, I was watching. It was like probably in a classic ad break, but where you go away to the commentators and the guys in the studio, and they were comparing his like 1993 swing to his 2021 swing or whatever, and they're like, as you can see, he's a lot less mobile. I was like, is he less mobile? I'd say he's freer and like able to hit the ball. Like he's got more movement there, so that made me laugh. I think the interesting thing for the caddy. How many now? So Westwood has now won with a family member on the bag, and I think we had the podcast that we a few weeks ago where we talked about what to look for in a caddy, and people actually bringing non-official caddies in and just apparently winning, so and doing really well with it. So I think it's another tick in the box for that, and it's just an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was something to potentially boost his career beyond caddying for Stewart Cink, but I know Stewart was he praised his son's ability as a caddy quite highly. Now I don't know whether that's to further his career kind of down the line, but he did say it's like, look, he could quite easily be a caddy on tour. It's not like he's an average caddy. But again, it still comes back to the fact that maybe what did we just speak about? That the better rounds that we've had this weekend came because we're relaxed. Well, maybe that's the family influence, particularly guys of Cink and Westwood's age, guys that have been there, seen it, done it, played every course, could play most courses with their eyes closed and tell you where all the pins are going to be. Well, why not have a family member on the bag? It clearly helps put the players at ease.
Yeah, and the interactions between them were still, perfectly kind of in keeping with the kind of conversations you'd expect from a pro caddy and player. I mean, I was watching him quite a lot down the final straight on Sunday, and I can't remember which hole it was, maybe 14, I think. He had his approach over water, bunker in front. So there was quite a lot of talking through, and the son was just saying, right, talk me through the shot. Talk me what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. His son did not mess around. Considering his dad been on tour for 25 years, he was like, nope, you hit an 8-iron and you hit it to there.
Yeah.
No question.
He's like, tell me what you're going to do. Tell me what the flight's going to be. Where are you going to land it? And Cink talks all the way through it. And the son just goes, all right, show me. So it was just awesome. The interaction was really, really good.
That's great.
Just exactly as Ben says, it's really interesting to see that dynamic when it is just familiar and it's relaxed and it kind of doesn't feel like you're hitting approaches for like millions of dollars.
Yeah, really, really interesting. There's one other thing that I want to talk about from that, but I'll obviously let you two dive in and see if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about as well. But Siwoo Kim, did you see his stroke penalty on his putt?
Oh,
so
yeah.
he makes the putt. The ball rolls up. Apparently, just sort of is stopped, although doesn't stop, on the edge of the hole. And the official ruling is you've got like what's deemed as quote unquote an appropriate amount of time to walk to the ball, and then plus 10 seconds to see if the ball drops. Now, they waited more than that. It was him and Cooch.
Yeah.
They waited more than that, and the ball eventually dropped. The reason they waited is because Matt Kuchar was saying your ball's actually still moving, right? So Cooch, the playing partner, is saying your ball is moving, like it's moving on the edge there. Obviously, it was moving incredibly slowly, or like oscillating in the wind or whatever, but it was moving. After about 45 seconds or whatever, maybe not that long, but it felt like a long time. The ball drops in, birdie, great. The rules official then comes over and says, unfortunately, that's not a birdie. You've got a 1-shot penalty for not hitting your ball in. And fair play to Cooch. Cooch was like, I told him the ball was moving. If he hits a moving ball, that's a 2-stroke penalty. So what do you actually want him to do? Do you hit the moving ball and take a 2-stroke penalty, or does he take the 1-stroke penalty for not hitting it and the ball dropping in? And the rules official just kept coming back to, he has to leave it an appropriate amount of time before just putting the ball in. And Cooch kept coming back to, but the ball's still moving. And like, he can't, I've told him the ball's still moving. So what's he supposed to do?
Yeah. So
go on, Tim.
I kind of kept listening to this, and there was a lot of explanation, and there was a lot that came out off the back of it. So as I understand it, the exact ruling is when it comes to putting, and this is putting only, once you've hit your putt, the kind of 10-second to hit your next putt, to step up, check, begin your next putt, that overrules the moving ball rule, which seems
Wilson got done for hitting his moving ball, didn't he?
Which is what I can't understand. There's no consistency.
And also,
so that's what this official said.
You go back only a few weeks ago. It's not to the same severity, but I think it was on one of the match play. Tony Finau stood over his ball for a while, and there was the old myth of like the shadow is knocked in. He stood over the ball, kind of waited for it. Could have easily taken his stance, knocked it in, waited for it, ball dropped in. Yeah, he walks off. Happy days. Yeah. Where's the clarity there? You know, where's too long? Where's too short? And I had a quick look as you were kind of explaining. It was a difference between him finishing tied 33rd and tied 25th. You know, Siwoo Kim's doing all right for himself, but the same as what we said before. Any of the young up and coming players that are relying on winning X amount of money per year to keep their status, that could be quite a big thing. And it's something that his own playing partner has said, no, that's, it's fine. Like, the ball was moving. I'm willing to allow like him to not take a next shot, sort of thing. Just odd. And again, it's one of those rules that if someone's watching it, might not necessarily turn them off the game, but it'd be like, oh, that's picky, isn't it?
It is picky, and but the problem for me is because normally you'd be right. You'd literally walk up, you'd be like, oh, okay, it's not going to go in, and you would hit it. I only think he doesn't hit it is because Cooch says your ball's moving. So if at that point he hits it, does Cooch then have to say, I'm really sorry, that's a 2-shot penalty because your ball was moving? Like, that's where I get really like, what's he to do?
Particularly with Cooch's track record.
Floodgates in the future for like match play situations when there's one guy about to putt and the other guy's like, no, your ball's definitely moving. I would just leave it a little bit longer if I were you. Get me that rules official.
Anyway, just a bit bizarre. Was there anything else of note in the event that you guys want to talk about?
No, those were the two big things for me.
No, I mean, a statement that was made came out during the tournament, and it was off the back of the fact that he played with Will Zalatoris. A Billy Horschel statement about the arm lock putter. I know both of you have seen it because I sent you the photo. So for those who haven't seen it, Billy Horschel said he would rather see the belly putter back and thinks the arm lock is more of an advantage than the belly putter. I don't know, where do you two stand on that?
Doesn't Billy really struggle with his putting? Is putting one of Billy's things? And I can't remember stats wise, but I don't have a stance. If it's within the rules, do what you want.
Yeah.
Until they say otherwise, I'm kind of like, you can bitch and moan about it, but
I understand, like, how all, going back in history and you're looking at all the old classic videos of, say, Tom Watson and Nicholas and Palmer winning all their tournaments, and they're all putting with a short putter. But I always come back to the fact that if there was much of an advantage there, every player on tour would be doing it.
Yeah.
I just think, putting the ball in the hole is, at the end of the day, that's the aim of the game. And it's very, very hard to do. We all get the same flat face. Some have more angle than others. But, if someone was really belting them in from everywhere and had a clear advantage, well, every other pro would follow that. And I think because that isn't happening, and the fact that Cooch in the past couple of weeks has changed from arm locking on one arm to the other, probably proof that, it may be an advantage for some, but it's not going to be for others. I mean, look at how many putting grips there are on tour.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to name them all.
look how many putting greens Tim's gone through in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Not in the last 12. We'll give him a couple of years.
There's a kind of a bit of it which makes me wonder, because you're right. I mean, the pros are going to continually change what techniques they use, and as is the average hacker like us, whether it be 8 different putting grips or whatever it is, and like 18 months in my case or whatever. But I mean, from an average hacker's point of view, right? And this is something I'll come and talk about later on. Part of the satisfaction is when you work at something and you try something a little bit differently and you realize that it reaps benefits for you personally. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's no evidence to show that a belly putter or the elbow putter is like significantly more successful than other putters, right? It's surely does it not just come down to like individual body mechanics and what you're comfortable with? So I don't know if it really, I don't really have any.
So I guess the problem with the, I don't know statistically, but I guess the problem with the belly putter is that you're anchoring it, so you are able to get that pure pendulum.
Yeah, I get that, but whether that makes it any easier, because some players would still be like, no, I find that harder because I've grown up. I've hit 10,000 putts with my conventional putting grip. Changing to hit 100, it might, throw him off. So
statistically, I don't actually know. My understanding is anchoring the putter is what the problem. And if anchoring the putter is the problem, then Billy Horschel probably has a point, because if you're anchoring it against the, but I don't know.
But then why doesn't everyone do it? If it makes that much of a difference.
Yeah. When do we get to like snooker cue lying on the floor, like pushing it in? Like, I don't know.
Can you do that?
I don't know.
Definitely not.
I wouldn't have thought so. But like, I have seen the videos of the putter that looks like a shuffleboard thing where you stand behind it and push it forward.
You split your legs and
I've seen that. So I've not seen it on tour. I've just seen
it won't be in a rush to give that one a go.
I mean, one of our mates puts with what looks like half a hubcap. So
this is very true. Also, just a quick look at the European Tour. We're going to come on to this as a discussion point in a bit. We had the Austrian Open. I'm going to level with you. I watched 0 of this, apart from the playoff holes, of which there were 5. Between Max Kiefer and John Catlin. They got to playoff hole number 5 on a par 3. Included a couple, once, twice they got birdies. And then it ended in the commentators are like, this is, and they're like, this is going to end with a mistake rather than someone just playing good golf. Max Kiefer hit his shot. I think it landed a bit short, rolled back into the water. It was sort of not an island green, but there was water in front of the green. And even the commentator was like, it's all right, he can still chip on and, get bogey. Catlin was in the bunker, so you were thinking, okay, Catlin might, he's going to struggle to make par anyway. And then he hits his drop, like he takes the drop, hits the next shot, lands it next to the pin. And do you remember Garcia at the Masters? It won't just like roll back into the water. So he does that. It rolls all the way back into the water. Like, it's going to get fair distance. Drops again, does exactly the same. Hits it pin high, rolls all the way back into the water. And he's got to keep going. Like, he can't concede the hole because it's a stroke play event. So he's just like, so he goes, drop number 3, hits on whatever, I can't remember how many drops he took, but basically he carded an 8 on a par 3. And Catlin ended up with a bogey. Came from American 2-putted. So I was just like, how do you, as a player, do that? You drop it, you put it pin high, and it spins all the way back off the green. Like, I don't even know if you have that level of control to be able to do that. It was quite demoralising watching it. Like, if you watch the highlights, you're like, you do feel for him. You're like, what else do you do? Like, where else do you put the ball? Like, it's just mad. But anyway, so that was another. John Catlin seems an American who's coming over playing on the European Tour and loving life on the European Tour. Like, he's doing really, really well over here. So
it's a couple of wins last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that's interesting to note. And it was Brooks who came over and played over here when
he was young, as
well. In the ladies, Lydia Ko winning, who hasn't won for a long, long time, and said she was taking inspiration off. Oh my word, who won last week after
Jordan Spieth?
Speed, yeah, taking inspiration off Speed. You had one for ages, and a couple of mentions. Nelly Corder, obviously, in second. One of them is always going to be there, and Georgia Hall in 12th. So a nice English presence there, which is really cool. Anything? Do you guys watch either of those? Anything you want to mention before we move on?
Honestly, watch very little golf this weekend with having moved in with flatmates recently. Kind of juggle who's got real control over the TV, considering they own the place. Is quite a difficult battle to try and convince them to watch 20 hours of golf over the weekend.
All right, then let's move on. And I want to talk about this and it was just something that came to mind. We're looking, we're playing the fantasy league each week. I'm watching a lot of the PGA golf, and I'm thinking, you know what? I haven't watched much European Tour golf, if any. We're not doing the European Tour stuff. We're not doing that on the fantasy league. And I just took a look, right? I was like, let's have a look at the prize money this week. So Zurich Classic, there's $7.4 million up for grabs. Last week, it was 7.1 million. Compared to this week on the European Tour, we've got the Gran Canaria Open, 1.4 million euros as the prize money. I sent Ben and Tim a question yesterday, can't remember when it was, and it was simply, is the European Tour in trouble? And I mean this from a fact of last year, COVID, right? PGA Tour, although paused, eventually came back and started. The European Tour started, but very, very, very different. Like they had kind of swings, which I don't actually think was a bad idea. And going forwards, I quite like the concept of having like a UK swing and a whatever and having those. But it wasn't the same level as a normal European Tour schedule. Then this year, I don't know if it's actually factually correct or if you guys have noticed it, but like lots of the players that you'd normally expect to see on the European Tour are now over just playing PGA events because it's a hassle traveling with COVID restrictions, etc. And I just want to ask you guys a question: do you think long term this is an issue for the European Tour? Are those players going to stay over there on the PGA? Tim, I'm going to come to you first.
Long term, yes, I do think it is in trouble, and unfortunately, I don't want to kind of make this sound too similar-ish to obviously the other, what's going on in the world of sport in football this week. But at a really base level, if you think about viewership, right, in the UK, and look, we're no better than anyone when it comes to this, right? You get a weekend and you have an event on the PGA Tour on Sky Sports, right? That'll usually start around 4, 5 in the afternoon, our time. Before that, you'll have European Tour action. The amount of viewing that will take place with the PGA compared to the European Tour, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you would assume, I'm pretty sure, I'm confident in saying that the PGA, even in the UK, will be dominating the viewing and the interest. That is where the interest is. Now,
because
it's a little bit different.
You mean timings? Like, i.e., we're doing stuff in the day and the evening's just easier to watch more golf.
Well, I think that plays a factor, but to be honest, it's a little bit like if you're comparing, let's say, the French Liga in football with the Premier League. It's simply the PGA in America is simply a more popular, more watched competition. It just is. It's just fact. So I think long term, I think where it's going to end up going, and this is me crystal ball moment here, is I think you will probably have a bit of a global pyramid system when it comes to golf. And I think you'll have underneath that, you'll get a regional pyramid system, as in you'll just have the PGA Tour, which is just global. I think is where it will probably go. And I think underneath that, and by the way, very different to Super League and football, you should absolutely still have people who will you should give 25 tour cards a year, remove 25 tour cards a year. So you still have people coming in and out of that system. And then I think underneath that system, within, whether you do it in continental wide, so whether you do it within Europe and South America, North America, you still have your regional competitions, which feed into that global system. That's where I think it's going to go. And we talked about this a few months ago when the PGA of America bought a stake in the European Tour. Yeah. My view is, if change is going to happen, I think it is going to happen. You know, it's sport, it's money, it's broadcasting. It's going to happen eventually. I'd rather it was that the change came from, if you like, within. That it's the PGA that takes the controlling stake, and not some oligarch that comes in from another country that we've never heard of before, doesn't really have any skin in the game, knows nothing about it. I feel like that, unfortunately, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I feel like that is a fairly inevitable outcome one day.
Interesting viewpoint. I like it. I don't disagree with it. I'm going to come to Ben first before I start diving in. Ben.
Yeah, I think for the past couple of years, I think that the prize money of the European Tour events has flagged the PGA Tour events by quite a bit, and I think for as long as the pandemic is going on globally, that gap is only going to get bigger. The European Tour is handicapped at the moment because of the fact it's not a European Tour, it's a global tour. They're in Kenya, they're here, there, and everywhere. We've got to remember, all these people that are going to these places are people. They are, have families. If they've got to go to Kenya and they've got to do a 2-week quarantine, and then they've got to come back to the UK, do a 2-week quarantine. I don't know this for a fact, but I think British law at the moment, if you come back from certain countries, you're going to have to go into quarantine for 2 weeks. Yeah. If you're in a hotel, you're missing out on your family, you're missing out on potential other tournaments, you're already missing out on money, because the prize money on offer in European Tour events is not the same as the PGA Tour. Whereas the PGA Tour, as you've seen Lee Westwood do, you do 3 tournaments, 4 tournaments, 5 tournaments back to back. You don't have to go through any quarantine because the laws are slightly different. You're not traveling internationally. So not only is there the money draw, but there's also the draw of I can keep making money. I can keep playing. I can keep moving and keep somewhat living a life. Whereas I feel like
it's easier.
Say that again?
Logistically, it's easier.
Yeah, logistically, it's easier. The rewards are greater. And I know we've spoken about it recently. The reason why we quite enjoy the European Tour and what we'd like to see on the PGA Tour is more varied courses, more varied conditions. As Absolutely. A golfer, think about it. If we were to turn up every week, we would like consistent conditions every week so that we can play our best golf. You're more likely to get that on the PGA Tour as well, because a lot of the courses mirror each other. They're all similar conditions, played under similar kind of temperatures and stuff, whereas you start traveling all around Europe. I mean, Catlin finished out in a woolly hat and a snood at the weekend, I think, whereas the boys on the PGA Tour are probably wishing they were in shorts every week, because every week it looks glorious. So, yeah, do I think the European Tour falling behind massively? And I think it's, for as long as the world is in the state of the pandemic, the gap is only going to get bigger. And unfortunately, I can just see the European Tour being swallowed up in the next year or two.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love how you say that we would like our perfect weather to play our best golf. If we don't have irregular weather, what am I going to blame my shit golf on, though? I need that irregular weather for something to blame. Yeah, the guy we had, Dr. John Percival wrote an article a while ago for Sunday Red, and he talked about the World Tour, a World Golf Tour. And ever since he put that to me, I was like, I love this idea. Like, genuinely, I think obviously it can't happen in current situation, but for future, sure, like you said, Tim, it can still be the PGA Tour, can be the grand overall thing, but it should be a world tour, not an America tour, which essentially is what the PGA Tour is, right? Well, it's an American-based competition. So I do think if the European Tour or whatever got swallowed up, I think it should become more events in the UK, Europe, France, Australia, Asia, and it should have, sure, maybe don't call them majors, but big events, 1-2 big events in Asia, in Australia. Like, go play Royal Melbourne, go play, in South Africa, go play all around the world to get those different environments.
I do wonder. I like the idea of it. I do wonder, though, that if there was the merger, or that they get swallowed and we have this world tour, I do wonder if the current PGA Tour players would be dissatisfied with it, and then it end up being in 2 split competitions anyway. So you'd have one tournament going on in the States as well as one going in Australia, because I suppose American players have every right to say, look, this is how it's always been. The tournaments are thriving. Why do I need to be traveling to Australia to then come back. And
yeah,
I think the idea is great. I love the idea of it, to be able to watch the PGA Tour players going over to Oz and into South Africa. It just, again, it comes back to these are still humans that you make in travel 24 hours across the globe.
I appreciate that. And I think
on that, what I'd really like to know is the average, let's say the average PGA player and the average European Tour player. We probably aren't going to be able to find this information out, but I'd love to, is to kind of find out how many days, like a year, are they in, are they in travel or in hotel accommodation versus being at home? Because I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can't just take something that is essentially based in one country. I mean, a bloody massive country, give it that.
Yeah.
And then take it so you're doing like what they do in tennis. You've got the ATP Tour where you're literally moving from continent to continent to country over like 40 odd weeks or so. But I would be interested to see, because America, you're still talking like, what is it, like 8 or 10 hours to fly from New York to LA? I'd love to know how many days they're in travel and accommodation versus being at home.
I don't actually imagine it's that different in terms of actual time at home, because, like you said, if you're in Florida but your house is in California, like you're not popping home for a day, are you? So, but what I can imagine, obviously, time zone from flying from the UK to Australia versus Florida, California is different. So I do imagine there's that issue. I don't imagine there's actually very much difference in terms of actual time at home. Yeah. Although I don't know that. I'm guessing. Yeah. But yeah, it just looking at the numbers, looking at the players, looking at the prize money, I'm sat there going, even I'm watching the PGA Tour week in, week out, and although partly because of playing fantasy league, but you look at the prize money, you look at the players who have. I know logistically it's easy right now to just go play on the PGA Tour. I know that, but if you were Westwood, he probably would come back because he's got some good events back here. But if you are Hattons, those players, Robert McIntyre's like, are you coming back?
I think with the money, you factor in all the travel, all the restrictions. Like, I mean, you look at the European Tour field this week that's just gone versus the PGA Tour. If you were to pick one or the other, it's really a non-contest. And unfortunately, that's just going to keep growing for as long as that's the case, and all the big European Tour players keep going over there. I mean, look at how many South Africans were in the field last week as well. Again, predominantly European Tour-based players. Historically over the past 20, 30 years, a lot were playing PGA Tour this week.
Yeah. Okay, that's quite a somber finish. That's something. Interested to hear what you guys listening think. Pop us a message, pop us a tweet. We got a tweet last week, by the way. As a screenshot. And they even put in the tweet and they said, I know you don't get many tweets, so here's a tweet. I was like, thank you. Yeah, really appreciate that. So we'd love to hear what you think. Is the European Tour in trouble? Do you foresee the same sort of thought process as us, or do you see it planning out something different, playing out a different way? Love to hear from you, so let us know. Now, a bit more fun. Well, maybe not fun. As we've told you already, we've got our first major of the year coming up this weekend. And Ben's coming into this full of confidence. Apparently, Tim, after a secret sneaky round, is also coming in quite high. For one member of our group, we won't name names, he went out for a sneaky round with a non-tour member on Saturday and proceeded to have, in his words, the worst round of his life. He was so demoralised by this round, he refused to even talk via text about it on Saturday after his round. And on Sunday, over a few beers, his mood improved, but he was still somewhat. He's in a low golf place right now. His golf morale is exceptionally low. So he's dealt with this or is dealing with this in a certain way. This is on Saturday. Monday, he has now joined a golf club on a social membership so that he can get access to all the practice facilities and has got to know the pro and has booked in a lesson, although not in time for this week. He's already hit 100 balls.
That's already quite a severe response. Let me just join a golf club and get a lesson booked in immediately.
Is this genuinely like predominantly in response to what happened on Saturday rather than a long-term plan?
No. I think me and him have spoken about joining this club on a social media platform for this exact reason. However, I think this facilitated and moved the timeline up dramatically of said response. He has proceeded to go to the range already today. That went really, really badly. He then went back home. He's got a net in his garden and proceeded to hit balls over and over again. I haven't messaged him to find out how it's going. It's now 9:30, and it wouldn't surprise me to find that he's out there with the floodlights on, still hammering balls. But he's worried because obviously we've got the major coming up this weekend. So what I wanted to ask you guys is, you have an absolute shocker. We've all been there. Been there. You have an absolute shocker of a round. Tim, we know we've spoken about it on the pod before. One of your cracking amount of points that you've got over 9 holes. We've all been in that dark place from a golf morale point of view. What do you do? How do you recover? What do you guys do? How do you recover? What is what this guy is doing the right thing? Ben, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah, I mean, we've alluded to it all night, tonight already. You know, I'm not the best when it comes to kind of moods and mood swings on the golf course. And golf, you know, me and a good friend of ours, we've spoken about it multiple times because both of us live in East London. So we've kind of taken the train here, there and everywhere to get to golf courses. And we've spoken about how bad rounds literally ruin our weekend. So we will go home, put the clubs away and then kind of sulk for the rest of the weekend. I have been there and it does kind of dawn on me. I'm still, you know, back to work on Monday morning thinking about it. It's, you know, it's something we talk about all the time. Some of your worst rounds are immediately followed by some of your best, because the next time you go out and you think, oh, you know, I was shit last week. So the expectations are so low that you somehow find some form. Again, tying it back into what we were talking about only earlier on about just being a little bit more relaxed. I don't deal with things too great. I know that is a flaw in my character. For me, if it were me, I'd put the clubs away for a few days, completely ignore them, put them in a place I can't even see them, so I don't even think about it. And then I would be back to the range, but probably not working on something that I thought was particularly shit at the weekend. Work on something that I feel like I'm pretty strong at.
Can I just jump in real quick? I just want to sit, because just to explain how bad his round was. He said he got to the fourth hole and he stopped scoring.
Oh.
He said he was just like topping the ball, backing the ball, thinning the ball, left, right, like just stood over the ball, not knowing, like just literally being like, I don't know how to play golf club. That's where he got to on the round. I don't think it helped that the person he was playing with happened to be playing some excellent golf.
Yeah.
But basically, he was in a situation where he stood over the ball going, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, that's where he was on the round. And this wasn't just your normal, I've only got 26 or 27 points type thing. This was I've absolutely just lost the plot. That's where we're at. Sorry.
Forgotten how to swing a golf club, yeah. No, yeah. I can't. I remember distinctly feeling like that once when I'd had a lesson, tried to be out on the course, and I remember standing over a ball thinking, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I got 9 holes through and I was like, I'm not enjoying this at all. I need to go to the range and work on some stuff. So I went to the range for 2 hours and I let you lot play on.
Yeah.
I still get stick for that to this day. But
I think that was where we're playing this weekend as well, wasn't it?
It is, yeah. Home of golf. But no, I think if you're having a really bad day, go back to the range and work on something you're good at, that you know that you can just build a little bit of confidence. If you're particularly good at your 100-yard wedge shots, well, leave the driver at home. Don't even bring it with you, because you will be tempted to bring it out and start working on the stuff that you were shit at. So it's not going to do you much good. And particularly 3 days in advance of the biggest tournament of the year so far, you want as much positive thoughts as you can get, I think, at this moment in time.
So Ben, what would your advice be to this guy? What would you, if he literally rang you, it was like, Ben, what do I do? What would your advice be? What would you tell him to do?
completely ignore and avoid the clubs for at least 3 or 4 days, because I think his problem is it's within 2
It's
days.
now
He's
Tuesday. 3 or 4 days takes us to Friday.
Yeah, fine, sweet. Well, do what Tim said earlier on. He's got a stacked busy week. Chances are he's not going to be able to get practice in until Saturday. One of the lads who's turning up on Saturday, albeit he's probably not there to win, but he's not picked up a golf club in like 6 months. So it's what's done is done. It's too late to all of a sudden become really good at golf. And we've seen the difference week on week. So I would say leave the clubs. If you've got time to go and work on, just go and enjoy hitting a golf ball again. Go work on the stuff you're good at. Then go and do it. If you don't, then leave the clubs. Just do not touch them and just turn up Saturday.
Okay.
Go for it.
Interesting. Timbo,
absolutely wallop it off the first tee. Don't hold anything back. Pull the driver out and hit it as hard as you can.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was going to be in there somewhere.
Interesting, Timbo.
Yeah, so I don't mind saying that. I feel like I've been there where he is at the moment, and I distinctly remember. I mean, it was sort of a few years ago now, and I remember that it was just one session. I went down to the range, and it was one of those range sessions where, for whatever reason, you just can't hit a golf ball. You just can't. And I think I was shanking quite a lot. And what you should do, everyone knows what you should do is, if you're having a practice and you're not doing very well, you're just like, you know what? Either just up your sticks, go home, because you're not practicing anything that's worthwhile. No benefit can come of this. Or you just practice like chipping or pitching, whatever it is. Just change it up, do something else. That's what you should do. But obviously I didn't do that, because I think it's so easy to get into that kind of place of like desperation, right? When you get home from like that range session, to be at home like, oh my God, right, I can't. No, I need to go back. I need to go back urgently, and almost like exercise the demons. And so I think what I did after that was like I rushed back to the driving range next day in utter desperation, without really thinking, right, why did that happen last night? Is it like, because you know what, it could just be like, maybe you were absolutely knackered. Maybe you'd had a long day. There are so many reasons you can have it. And your golf swing's never the same for 2 days in a row anyway. But anyway, I went back the next day, and it was definitely like desperation, like getting in. I was like trying to hit the ball, like, and you know what happens when you're getting desperate and your flow's gone. That's when you're going to hit the bullshit. You just are. So like, yeah, I know exactly where he is, and I've been there, and it's shit. But honestly, it doesn't last. Like, it's not one of these things where like one day it's like, and now you can't play golf anymore. That's not what this is. It's fine. My advice, personally, would just to be, similar to Ben. First of all, just put your clubs down. Stop hitting golf balls. You're not doing any good. Like hitting 600 golf ball shit over the next few days is not going to help you. It just isn't. So just put them away. Do something else. Watch the football. Watch a film. Go for a beer with the missus, whatever it is. Just do something else. You don't need to carry on doing golf, right? So do that.
Can I just say, you're saying this, and if this was me, I'd be sat there at dinner having a beer, thinking, "What the fuck am I doing? Where's my wrist going to go? What's my arm going to do?" You've just got to park it and just move on. Do something else. Seriously, like if the guy is out there, like, I don't know, when we release this Thursday, is it Thursday that we're going to release the pod? If he's listening to this like 9 o'clock on Thursday night and he's hitting like his 120th golf ball, for the love of God, just stop. Seriously, just stop. So anyway, that's where I'll start. And then after that, just like once you've sort of calmed down a little bit and maybe not hit balls for a while, just remember, like, you can play this game. You have played this game. You've gone round and you've shot, great rounds. You've had your 30 pointers and whatever. Like, you can, like I say, you don't just lose the ability. It will be something. It'll be like one tiny thing that's setting you off, and that's fine. And also, and this is like a terrible thing to say when you're in the midst of this panic and this desperation. But honestly, a way to think about it is,
one of the brilliant things about this game, and one of the most satisfying things about this game, is when you're having an absolute shit show and you're in the depths of despair and you feel like, oh my god, I can't hit a driver, I can't hit a golf shot, I'm just topping everything. Fine, that's fine. You're kind of in that zone, but once you get through that and you overcome it and you start hitting the ball amazingly again, it's so satisfying. And genuinely, you can only get better by going through periods of feeling like you're the shittest golf player ever. It's honestly, you can. That's kind of it. And the final thing I'll say is, like, eventually, maybe you get to a point where if you hit a bad shot, you'll probably get to a point where you know what, generally speaking, what is wrong with you for that shot to happen, right? So generally, if you're hitting a shank, you're probably using your arms. You're probably too risky in your swing, and you're probably swinging too much with your arms and not with your body, right? We're
not golf pros. We don't actually know.
We're not. Yeah, this is not. Don't quote me on this advice. But like, if you're like topping it, for example, you're probably coming in too steep, and you probably could do with taking the club back further and lower in your backswing. But, that's just me.
Is that actually right? I don't actually know if that's true.
That's what I think about in my head personally, but that's just for me. Right. I mean, what my point is, hopefully you get to a point where if you hit a particularly bad shot, you probably know why you individually have hit that bad shot or what you've done wrong. So I would just say to it, hang in there. Fine. Don't give up. Like, it's fine. He'll probably have one lesson, and the pro will probably say, yeah, I can tell you straight away what you're doing wrong, and he'll be fine like a week or two later. Don't worry.
Well, this is something came to mind when you were talking there, and it somewhat contradicts kind of what I was saying earlier on. But I know that I've watched a lot of golf YouTube, and I've tried a whole bunch of different drills out. And I know anytime that I start playing poorly, I have two fail-safe drills that I go back to. Two fail-safe drills that that I've seen multiple different coaches promote using their videos, and honestly, I absolutely swear by them. And I know it's anytime my ball striking starts going a bit off, or I come a little bit too over the top. There's two drills, bang, get them in, and it sorts me out straight away. And I think
which two drills are they? Just out of interest for you.
So first time I saw it was me and my golf, where they line up 4 golf balls. So one which you're going to strike on the end. You lay a towel down dead flat behind the 4th ball, then you take the 3 balls away. So what that's encouraging is a strike. If you hit the towel, then you're coming in way too short of the ball. So it just helps with kind of compression. And then the second one, I think me and my golf have posted about it. It's another guy called Mike Bury. So it's, for me, I come in over the top. So it's setting the ball out that you're going to strike, and then having a ball or a tee peg just outside of it. So that encourages you into out path, because as soon as you come over the top, you're hitting both balls. Well, the idea is to hit the one ball that you want to strike. It's difficult to explain, but hopefully that somewhat makes sense. So those are my two kind of fail safes that seem to sort me out each time. And again, I get those in, I hit 10 balls, the confidence starts coming back, because you have no option but to hit the ball pretty well.
Yeah. Interesting. This is if we lost Tim, Tim's definitely frozen.
It's about that time.
He's frozen in a relatively good position. Anyway, he's back. Tim's back. I'm very much, I like to work through things. And I try not to get angry, but I find that very difficult at the range if something isn't going right. We've all had those rounds where you step up to the ball and you're standing over it going, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know. And it is like the worst feeling. I hate it. For me, I won't necessarily go to the range 6 times in the next 6 days, but I will definitely make sure, get my practice booked in and go. And Ben, I'm exactly the same. I have two, maybe a third drill, and I just go right back to basics. And I remove full swing. I've got a half swing drill that I do, and I'll do 30, 40 shots of that, and it's just a half swing drill, just working on connection. And not focusing on the result, like no tracer, none of that. Literally just half swings, working on connection. and loads of them will be shit, but it's just getting the club into the right position for me. So, and that is what I do. I just go straight back to basics, and I have two what I would call very boring range sessions where it's like back to basics, just do real simple shit. The chow one is definitely one of mine. And when this guy told me he was struggling and hitting the ball like all over I was like, put a towel down 6 inches behind the ball and just do half swings working on hitting the ball and no towel. That for me is one of my go-to drills as well for connection. The half swing drill, and the other one that I like to throw in there, I don't know how to explain this, and I can't do it at the moment because the range won't give me baskets. But I put a
drill stick in the bucket.
A stick in the bucket to make sure that I'm not coming over the top, to make sure I'm coming underneath that plane. So, and it annoys me that I haven't been able to do that one because that's the one that I feel like I need. But for me, go on, Tim. What?
Sorry, can I interject with one drill? Don't do. Everyone says to do it. If you're having this problem, don't do it. Right? If you're shanking, do you guys know where I'm going with this?
I don't.
Do not do the drill where you put two balls next to each other and you have to hit the inside one. Don't do it.
No.
Well, there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, I don't think it really promotes, like it might promote a little bit of swinging more inside, but and I'm speaking from experience. You get that shit wrong, the rest of the driving range is going to know about it.
So I've gone through a dark period of the shanks and every shot doing that. So I've not tried that drill, but what I have done is put an empty box of an empty dozen golf ball box, an inch or whatever away from there, and that has come out like absolutely battered in pieces. And I'm like, how am I hitting this? So trying to avoid hitting that. So I don't mind that drill, but yeah, for me it is when you're in that dark place. I can't forget about it. Like I couldn't just sit there and not think about it. I think that's too easy to say and not do. But just know that you've got practice sessions booked in. Don't go overboard. Just a couple of your usual practice sessions, and just go back to the two drills that your coach has told you to do. That's it. That's all I do.
What was
I'm just saying that's what I do.
There was the other piece of advice that James said when he was on, didn't he? When we did that podcast right at the start, which is like, you know what? Go to your app where you save your scores as well. Just look at some good scorecards, because honestly, positive self-reinforcement that, you know what, you can play this game.
Yeah.
Like, it's really easy to get into that place of thinking, that really despondent place of like, and now I suck, and now I can't play golf anymore. And you kind of almost get to a place where you're like, oh, well, that's what am I wasting all my time about? What am I wasting all this money on? If I can never, if I'm just going to be crap for the rest of my life, it doesn't happen. Like, these things generally, and again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a coach, they generally tend to be pretty fleeting things. So just go back of a bit of positive self-reinforcement is always a tip that I go for.
What I think is super interesting, we all know that golf is fucking hard, right? We know that golf is hard. I wonder whether people hit, because it happens. Like, it's not like this happens once and then never happens again. We go through times of golf being all of a sudden out of nowhere. Maybe not, I've completely forgotten how to play the game, but you're like, I'm grinding these results out. Like, you find like, you're like, I'm really working hard to score average points here.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, do you think that has any impact? This is going to lead down a rabbit hole. Maybe this is a discussion for another day. That's where people literally, like, where this guy is right now, it would not surprise me if he turned around and went, I'm not playing. I'm fed up. I've had enough. Like, do you know what I mean? And hangs up the sticks and just never stops. Do you think that has an impact on people playing the game?
Massively. I mean, taking it from someone who, I mean, I'm fairly well known to overreact to pretty much everything. This is coming from someone who's been on Golf Bidder whilst being on the golf course, checking out how much my clubs were worth. So that was slight overreaction, because as soon as I got in, put the clubs away, I was like, oh, fuck's sake, as much as I hate the game now, I really want another round in tomorrow. But yeah, it's definitely, if you're someone who doesn't play that often and you have 2 or 3 crap rounds on the bounce, then it will definitely make you question it, unfortunately. But I think that's that lies the beauty of the game as well, because it's not an easy game. This is what I say to people all the time. Only start playing golf if you're going to commit to, if you want to be quite good at golf. You can't fake it. Only really start if you're willing to put in a bit of work.
You've got to go through the shit.
Yeah, absolutely. You speak to anyone who's like us, like an average hacker. Everyone has been there. Everyone has been in that kind of the doom of the absolute pits of despair. Of course it's demotivating. Of course it could put you off. But the flip side is, let's say fast forward 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, and you can look back and sort of think, oh, I've just broken 80, or I've just won a competition with my mates. And then to think back at that time you were really, really struggling. It's like, that's when golf's amazing, right? Is when you've personally worked at something, you've got better. That's why it's a great sport, because that never stops as well. Like you're by the way, if you're starting to play golf and you think one day you're just going to crack it and then you're going to be great every day, sorry, I hate to break it to you, but no, this will be a battle that you have for the rest of your life.
You will love it.
You'll never conquer it.
Yeah,
ever.
True.
You will always be working on something, so bear that in mind. But once you've had the bad times and you kind of come out the other side, it's just the best thing ever. So think about it that way.
I also think having gone through bad times helps you get them through again, when they happen again. If this is your first major, oh my god moment, I don't know what I'm doing, it feels like an absolute shit show. Whereas actually we know, and it does always at that time. But yeah, I'm going to live with you guys. I feel for the guy. I know where he's at, and I can understand where he's at. Although I won't stop throwing banter in the WhatsApp group to he's on my team as well this week, so I should probably help him with the I should probably be doing more of the positive side of things. But no, okay, interesting. It's good to hear your guys' thoughts on that. I want to know, people listening, when you have those days, what's your way to deal with that? How do you come out of it on the other, hopefully on the other side, in a positive and better golf? I'd be really interested to hear what other people do to get out of that slump. All it takes is that one good shot at the range, and then you're like, I'm back. I've got it. I'm back. Awesome. I think we should wrap it up there. I don't think there's nothing else that I want to dive into right now. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? No, and no. Awesome. In that case, guys, I'm looking forward to our competition on Saturday, the first major of the year for our group. I would like the winner to be in this group. I would like it to be me. I'm fairly realistic with my expectations.
Do you want to see the trophy? Because I've still got it from last year.
Yeah, can you show us who the last winner was?
Yeah, I think I've just got my name inscribed actually this week. So
you have done it. Oh, damn.
It doesn't count in Sharpie. It needs to be actually engraved. Okay.
Here we go.
Where's the engraving?
Right.
Oh, there we go. The guy didn't do quite as good a job, but it is on there.
Okay.
So,
all right. Yeah, well done. Right. Okay.
I did say to him as I was leaving, I was like, "I'll see you in a week."
Oh, okay.
Okay. Ben Fowler's confident. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Yeah, let's wrap it up there. Thank you very much for listening, everybody, and we will catch you next week. See you later.
See you later, guys.
Yeah.